Knock knock, it's Knuckles! And welcome to a Let's Play I've been very excited about. This is one of my favorite games of all time to this day, and it's the very first Sonic game I ever played, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. As you can see here, I've switched to Sonic alone because Tails was introduced in this game. Sonic's two-tailed fox buddy who can fly with his tails was introduced in this game, but his AI is quite annoying, and I'll get into why later on. But here we are in Emerald Hill Zone, and me and this game have quite an interesting history. So, long time ago, when I was only like 4 years old, my parents got me a PlayStation 1, and I broke it. Then they got me a PlayStation 2, and I broke that. And finally, and this was when I was like 5 years old, they got me another PlayStation 1 again, and guess what? Moi broke it. So after that, for the next 4 years, they did not get me any more video game consoles. I would not get another video game console until the Christmas of 6th grade when I got another PS2 again. Which is kind of a testament to how long that system lasted. That 4 years later, it was still it was still living, and they were still making games for it. But during that 4 years, while I did not have consoles, what I did have was two things: PC games and plug-and-plays. Plug-and-plays are basically like these little things that you plug into your TV. They're a little bit bigger than the controllers, than like a game controller. In fact, sometimes these were the controllers. They were these little battery-operated systems that had a few built-in games, and you would plug them into the television. I had a Star Wars one, a Scooby-Doo one, but my favorite one that I had was my Sega Genesis plug-and-play. It basically looked like a little tiny Sega Genesis, and it had 6 games built into it. I don't remember all of them. There was the Ooze, Comic Zone. No, not Comic Zone, no. That would have been awesome, but that wasn't on there. There was like the Ooze and Game Ground and Echo the Dolphin. But my favorite one, the one that I played the ever-living shit out of, was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I absolutely fell in love with this game as a kid, and I kept playing it and trying to see how far I could get. I never did beat it when I was a kid. I got very close. But I would just keep on playing even when I got game over, because I just really liked that game. And years later, coming back to it, it's still one of my favorites. It's just a game that I can just keep replaying and still have a good time with. You can always improve your time, and there's always more things that you can find that you haven't found yet. Little did I know that at that same time, during that very same year that I was discovering Sonic 2 for the very first time and having a great time with it, the most infamous Sonic game of all time, the one heavily regarded as the worst Sonic game in the series, if not one of the worst games of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 came out that exact same year. But I didn't know about that, because I didn't have the internet. All I knew was that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was great. So we're here in Chemical Plant. I totally breezed through the first zone, because I just wanted to really show off just how fast you can really go in this game, and how once you've gotten good at the stages and you've memorized the layouts and you're good at using the physics to your advantage, you can really get through these zones quickly. I just avoided a really annoying water section that a lot of people will get stuck in, and I know I got stuck in it all the time as a kid. But I completely skipped it by doing a really good jump. You just kind of have to know where it is You build up enough speed and you jump at just the right time and you'll fly right over that section. As for the plot of this game, it's exactly the same as the first. Robotnik's back. He's being a dickhead. He's capturing animals and putting them in robots. Sonic has to stop him. But it did introduce Tails, who of course I'm not showing because I don't... Like that last boss fight we just fought. If I had Tails with me, Tails... I wouldn't have been able to do what I just did where I kept jumping on him. Because Tails will jump on him as well, and once he jumps on him, you can actually phase through him and fall right into that water pit below, all the pink water, and die. And I've had that happen so many times, and it's so annoying. So I don't like playing with Tails. I don't like having him with me. At least not in this game. His AI gets a little bit better in later ones. Something that's really cool about this game though is that, unlike Sonic 1, while there are water sections, as long as you take the right paths and you play the game skillfully, you never have to touch the water. This game is all about, like I said, mastering the levels and rewarding skillful play with speed, because obviously the water slows you down. You know, and if you get stuck in a water section, you're going to be there for a while. It's going to take you a lot longer to beat the level. It's not fun. Nobody likes being in the water. So it kind of rewards you for getting better at the game, because then you won't have to go in the water anymore. I made it a point to never go in the water in this playthrough. So you will never see Sonic's feet touch the water in this playthrough. And if you do, then you imagined it. I swear. I promise. I'm Knuckles. Why would I lie to you guys? And now here we are on Aquatic Ruin Act 2. You gotta make sure you wait for these platforms, by the way. Back in the day, I used to always just spin dash right off that cliff and you'll land in a really long water section that's quite annoying. So I skipped that entirely by just waiting for that platform. I also really like the music in this game. I think it has an even better soundtrack than Sonic 1. And this is something you'll notice is going to be a running theme in Sonic games. Regardless of the quality of the game itself, whether it's good, bad, mediocre, the worst thing ever, the best thing ever, regardless, it will always have a good soundtrack. If there is one thing that is consistent about Sonic the Hedgehog games, it is their fantastic soundtracks. I also really like this Robotnik machine because you're supposed to be stuck between these two pillars, but if you just jump on the right one as it's rising, you'll just go up with it and then you can just keep jumping on him over and over again until he explodes. And it makes you feel like a boss. And here we are at Casino Night Zone. This level would be the start of a kind of level motif that will appear in future Sonic games a lot, and that is, well, the casino level, where there are pins and bumpers all around, and you don't have much control over your character because you are going to be bouncing around all over the place. This is actually one of my least favorite levels in the game to speedrun because you just have so little control over Sonic most of the time. It's all relying on like the pinball physics and you don't know where exactly you're gonna go. Also, Sonic, stop gambling! That's a big no-no. What are the kids gonna think? Come on. Those are little slots you can go into and they'll pop up with like different heads of the characters, and if you line up 3 of them in a row, you can get a lot of rings, unless those 3 happen to be Dr. Eggman, in which case you will get stuck there getting spiked to death for, well, not to death, but losing your rings until the game says, yeah, you're done losing your rings. I have no idea what just came out of my mouth. That was weird. It'll take your rings, basically, is what I'm trying to say, if I can freaking speak today. They made a very nice remix of this song in the DLC of Sonic Generations with a full orchestra, and it sounded really jazzy and nice. So feel free to check that out sometime. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. And sometimes if you're lucky, you'll go flying over the whole level like I just did. This level actually gave me a lot of trouble as a kid because of the boss fight. Now, the boss fight at the end is no... Oh, this section also gave me trouble. I just did it in one go like that, but sometimes you can get stuck bouncing between those 2 bumpers trying to get into that tiny little hole so you can continue playing the level. But what really gave me trouble as a kid was this boss fight that we're about to see right here. After we pass this long, foreboding corridor, that is. Eggman's machine in this one will drop these explosive balls that will break off into 2 parts that can hurt you. He also has a laser there, and yeah, you can like fall through him after you've hit him, so you gotta be careful, because you'll fall through him and then you'll hit the laser. So, gotta be careful. He can also lower down if you get stuck between those bumpers, and he'll try to hit you with the laser that way. So it can be kind of tough on your first playthrough. But not a problem for me now. Alright, well that was part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I'm headed back to Angel Island to protect the Master Emerald, but I will be back next weekend with part 2. Have a great week.